channel, Solutions for Better Living. Do you know, some of my students asked me that why is brain so complex? And I thought, maybe it's very complex, but it is interesting too because I found it very interesting. I think brain is fun to learn. You have fun when you learn about brain. Brain is the most biggest and complex part of our body. I think you all know that. And it is made up of 100 billion nerves and it is connected by trillions of connections. So I think it's really very complex but interesting too. The brain consists of cortex, brainstem, basal ganglia and cerebellum. And of course, there are so many lobes like frontal lobe, occipital lobe, temporal lobe. There are so many lobes. So it's just complex but interesting. I'm saying you further, it's very interesting. And I will try to make it more interesting for you students because during the lockdown you are all at home. I think you should study this physiology, this basic physiology, which is very interesting. Let me make it a fun. You all may have question in your mind that why physiology? Why during lockdown we need to know about physiology? But I personally think this is the time you can read it out. This is the time you can have it inside your brain because you have time. The basics of physiology is such interesting and all medical students or paramedical students need to know about physiology in their base. So that's very important to learn now itself. Stay tuned till the end because next I'm having the PowerPoint presentation with interesting items there. Along with that, I am having the key points of the total discussion and those key points would be very valuable to you. So stay tuned till the end. So let me start with the physiology. I think you will find it very interesting. So let's start with it. So I will start with the pyramidal and extrapyramidal tracts. Just compare these as the body of rats and compare these as the tails of rats. Okay, so the body of rats are basically compared as a neurons and the tails of the rats are compared as the axons. So group of neurons and group of axons are two different things. Group of axons or bundles of axons are known as tracts and the group of neurons are known as grey matter. Otherwise, the bundle of axons which are the tracts are your white matter. Next, you may be curious about what are tracts, what is inside the brain, and please feel very interesting about it because the brain consists of your white matter. I already told in the previous slide which are your white matter, which are your gray matter. Your bundle of axons are your white matter. So white matter are basically three types. First is your vertical white matter, second is your association fibers, third is your commissure. So vertical white matters are straight away up till down. Those are vertical white matters. Anterior and posterior matters are your association fibers. And left and right are your commissure. But what are tracts? I already told you white matters are basically bundles of axons which are tracts. But vertical white matters, this vertical white matters are your basic tracts. So all other white matters are not your tracts, not your descending tract, not your ascending tract. But the vertical white matter, as you can see, it's going up and down. Those are your tracts. Otherwise, your ascending tracts and your descending tracts. Now, see this diagram. I hope you may be feeling what's going up, what's going down. But it's very interesting. It's just the beauty of the brain. Can you see the diagram? Can you find something here? You can see the response going up and response coming down. What is this? What is this? These are receptors. Receptors receive the stimulus. As they receive the stimulus, they go through this ascending tracts up to the area of the cortex, that is the upper part of CNS. And what kind of response they are traveling? They are traveling the sensory response. So this is the sensory response they are traveling. Next, after they have those sensory response, they integrate it, they process it, and after processing, what comes down? Two types comes down. One is the descending tract, normal descending tract, which brings the motor response. Another one is your autonomic descending tract. This is the autonomic descending tract. So what is the difference between a simple descending tract and autonomic descending tract? A simple descending tract is basically providing the motor response to the muscles, which is the voluntary action of the muscles. But autonomic descending tracts are providing motor response to GI tracts, heart, glands, smooth muscles. So that's the difference between both. I hope it's clear. I can see the arrows. The sensory response is going up, the motor responses are going down from the upper level to the lower level. Okay? Again, this area of the brain. Very interesting. This surface is the supralateral surface of the brain I'm talking about, and of course the beauty in the brain. So this particular area, this particular partition is the central sulcus, and you have three divisions here. Okay, you have this three divisions here. Anterior to the central sulcus is your primary motor area. This area is the supplementary motor area. This area is the premotor area. Okay. What is this division? This division is the superior gyrus, frontal gyrus. This is the middle frontal gyrus, and this is the inferior frontal gyrus. So these are the divisions of your brain. Can you find the division? Is it clear? I would repeat once more. This particular partition is your central sulcus. Anterior to the central sulcus is your primary motor area. Anterior to the primary motor area, at the side, at the superior side, is your supplementary motor area. At your inferior side is your premotor area, just in front of the primary motor cortex. Now this area, the frontal area, it's divided into three. That is superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal gyrus, and inferior frontal gyrus. Okay. So this shows that anterior to the central gyrus is your motor area, and posterior to your central sulcus is your sensory area. I hope it's clear to you. Very interesting. So we have learned about the different parts. Premotor area. Premotor area plans how to generate the program. So whatever program is going through in your everyday life, that is generated and planned by your premotor area. And premotor area also have all kinds of updated information. For example, like you are taking your finger towards your nose. Now you may be taking your finger from your lap or from front. So how that information is going, that you are using your finger from lap or in the front, that information, that proprioceptive information is going to the premotor area. That is the updated information, because initially we don't know which is the position of our hand. Okay, but we can easily take our hand towards our nose. In whichever area the hand is, we can take the finger towards our nose. Why? Because the updated position of my hand is already gone towards premotor area. So that's why premotor area can generate programs so easily. They can plan programs so easily. So all the proprioceptive input should travel to the premotor area to get the updated information. Next is the cerebellum. Cerebellum is also very fascinating because cerebellum is the all the time updated. So from the premotor area, the senses travel to the cerebellum. So cerebellum is also a part of the brain which is all the time updated. So first premotor area, then it travels to cerebellum, then the sensory cerebellar area, then the initial area, and then the final area, and finally the order gets placed. So the order comes down and we act accordingly. So as the sensory response goes up in the higher centers, the premotor area is activated, and then the cerebellum, then the sensory cerebellar area, then the initial area, and then finally the final area, that is the main CNS, and then the order comes down what I have to do. Okay. Next is a supplementary motor area that plans your primitive movements. Do you know which is the modern tract system? Can you see the tract system on the diagram? I hope this is the spinal cord diagram, and this is the dorsal column, this is the lateral column, this too is the lateral column, this is the anterior column. So among these tracts, the tracts are going like this, okay? It's going up like this, it's going down like this. The tracts are all inside through the columns. So which column or which tract system is the most modern tract system? Can you say? Just think. Just think. Which tract system can be the most modern tract system? Can you find it? I would tell you. The most modern tract system is your dorsal column tract. It's the most modern tract system. Okay. But if I talk about the anterior and lateral column, then both of them are not modern. They are old tract system. So all kind of new things, new positioning, new senses are all found in dorsal column, and all kind of old senses are found in your anterolateral column. Okay, but what are these arrows doing? Can you say? These arrows depicts whether the dorsal column has ascending tracts or descending tracts, or both. So as my sign says, the dorsal column has ascending tracts, but lateral column and anterior column has both ascending and descending tracts. I hope it's clear about spinal cord. So you already know now that the modern tract system is your dorsal column. Anterior column and lateral column are not your modern system but your old system. Now let's elaborate dorsal column. You know express road? You have seen express road? The roads are very clean, it's so good, it's so very smooth, and big cars and lorries or things like that goes over it. So it's so very smooth, it's so very good. So dorsal column is your express road. Why? The 3 points are there on your screen. Because of its high velocity system, because of more myelination, because of more localization. Why high velocity system? You have known that express road is so smooth that cars are being driven so high, in so high velocity, right? So dorsal column is your express road. It has high velocity system. It has more myelination because
You have smooth road. So smooth road means more myelination. It has more localization, that you can understand which area is being touched. You can localize that area accurately in case of dorsal column. Okay. Now, what is the difference between dorsal and anterolateral? Just the opposite. Your anterolateral column is your dull road. Your dull road means you have slow velocity system, you have less myelination, you have less localization. Okay, less localization, so just the opposite of each other. Now I have depicted the dull road and express road here. Your dorsal column is your express road, your dull road is your anterolateral column. So now the question may come, what is the conclusion out of it? We already know it. What is the conclusion out of it? So let us find the conclusion of your dorsal column. If dorsal column is your express road, you have more myelination, you have more localization. What are the senses that passes through dorsal column? Fine touch, proprioception, vibration, 2BT. So can you see, these sensations are always perfect. These sensations are always accurate. When somebody touches you finely, or you have proprioceptive movements of your hands or legs, when you have vibrations on your body, when you have 2PD done on your body, you can accurately place the hand where it is being done. You can accurately understand the localization, and it is a high velocity system as well. It reaches your brain very fast. So that's why it passes through dorsal column. But what about your dull road? That is your anterolateral column. Your anterolateral column is your old dull road, so through which cars don't go, big cars don't go. It may be a cart or something that goes. So that's old kind of sensation. That is your crude touch, your pain, your tickling, itching, sexual sensation. These are all your old type of sensation, and these are not accurate. When you have pain, you cannot all the time depict or find that you have the pain in that particular area. You may be saying that I may be having pain here or there, or you cannot just point out where the pain is. Okay, itching or tingling, you cannot accurately point that because of less localization, because of less myelination, and finally because of slow velocity system, that is, it reaches your brain very slowly. So I hope you can understand the difference between an anterolateral column and a dorsal column. What are the senses that passes through it? I hope it's clear to you. So thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, obviously feel free to ask me, and we'll come with a lot of other topics. So stay tuned and thank you.
I hope the presentation was engrossing and fascinating for you. So now, as I promised you that I would talk about the keynotes or the key points which would be very valuable to you. Number one keynote or key point is the receptor. The receptor takes the information or the stimulus and then send it through your ascending tract to the head, that is your brain, that is your upper part or the upper level of CNS. From the CNS, the descending tract travel down towards the muscle or effector area, that is the muscle, GI tract or other areas. Okay. The premotor area plans how to generate the program, that is the total program we are making, we are walking, we are sitting, things like this. The premotor area are basically planning those things. So that is your second keynote. Third keynote is about the cerebellum. Cerebellum is very nice, a very nice place, because that has all the updated information. So every proprioceptive input, anything that's coming out, that's going directly to the cerebellum. Okay, we have already talked in our PP. Now we have the fourth keynote, that is supplementary motor cortex, because we have learned about that area. So that area is responsible for primitive movements, to plan primitive movements. Now the fifth keynote is the bundle of axons, especially known as tracts. Yes. So the sixth key point is that the vertical white matters are the tracts. Okay. Next, the seventh key point is your dorsal column, and the eighth key point is your anterolateral column. Because the dorsal column we talked about is, dorsal columns are the express road, but the anterolateral column are your dull roads. So express roads are always having more myelination, more localization, and more fine areas, right? But in case of anterolateral aspects or anterolateral column, we have less myelination, less localization, like for cases in crude touch, pain, etc. I had immense pleasure having a discussion about this physiology of tracts. I hope you also enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it and if you have any questions regarding it, please send the questions in the comment box and I'm ready to answer it. So anytime you can have the comment box there, you can write the questions, I'm going to give you the answers. So lastly, I want to say please subscribe and like and share as much as you can, so that I get the motivation to learn more, to make you learn more. So I would be thankful if you do so. Thank you so much.